everybody, welcome back to our JavaScript e-course. Today we're going to be continuing with our JavaScript e-course. Previously we have learned about JavaScript classes and arrow function. Today we're going to learn about JavaScript debugging and performance. Today is our last video of the JavaScript e-course. So thanks for watching our JavaScript e-course to the end. Now let's start with our first chapter, which is about JavaScript debugging. Errors will happen every time you write some new computer code. Code debugging. Programming code might contain syntax errors or logical errors. Many of these are difficult to diagnose. Often when programming code contains errors, nothing will happen. There are no error messages and you will get no indications where to search for errors. Searching and fixing errors in programming code is called debugging. JavaScript debuggers. Debugging is not easy, but unfortunately, all modern browsers have a built-in JavaScript debugger. Built-in debuggers can be turned on and off, forcing errors to be reported to the user. With a debugger, you can also set breakpoints, places where code execution can be stopped, and examine variables while the code is executing. Normally, otherwise follow the steps at the bottom page. You activate debugging in your browser with the F12 key on Windows and select console in the debugger menu. The console.log method. If your browser supports debugging, you can use the console.log to display JavaScript values in the debugger window. So, as you can see, here's an example of us using console.log to display JavaScript values in the debugger window. So, as you can see over here in the script tag, we have declared three variables, a which is 5, b which is 6, and c which is a plus b. And then over here we're using console.log to log c in the console. So now let's look at this example using Visual Studio Code. So as you can see over here we have the example from the PPT. So if we run this code and then press inspect and go to the console, as you can see it will say 11. But if you're on Windows, you may want to press F12 to get an easier way to go to the console. And this works for Internet Explorer and Firefox too. So now let's go back to the PPT to learn more. Setting breakpoints. In the debugger window, you can set breakpoints in the JavaScript code. At each breakpoint, JavaScript will stop executing and examine JavaScript values. After examining values, you can resume the execution of code, typically with a play button. The debugger keyboard. The debugger keyword stops the execution of JavaScript and calls, if available, the debugging function. This has the same function as setting the breakpoint in the debugger. If no debugger is available, the debugger statement has no effect. With the debugger turned on, this code will stop executing before the third line. So as you can see over here is the example where we have declared variable called x and given it the value of 15 times 5. And over here we use the debugger keyword on the third line. And over here we have used the document get element by id method. So now let's look at this example using Visual Studio Code. So now as you can see over here we have a code from the PPT. If we run this, and as you can see over here it's coming like this because we have put a debugger. So now we can look at the values over here. And then once we are done, we can press continue and we'll execute the code. So now as you can see over here we have our code. So 75 and then a paragraph. So now let's run this again. So as you can see, as soon as we run it, we get this debugger, and when we press play over here and go to our Google Chrome, as you can see, we have our result. So now this is the use of debugger. So in runtime, we can use this we can put the debugger keyword to see what is happening to the code. So now let's go back to the PPT to learn more. Major browser's debugging tools. Normally, you activate debugging in your browser with F12 and select console in the debugger menu. Otherwise, follow these steps. For Chrome, open up the browser. From the menu, select More Tools. From Tools, choose Developer Tools and finally select Console. And for Edge, you open up the browser. From the menu, select Developer Tools and finally select Console. And in Opera, open the browser. From the menu, select Developer and from Developer, select Developer Tools and finally select Console. And if you're in Safari, go to Safari, Preferences, then Advanced in the main menu and check Enable Show Develop menu in the menu bar. And in the final step, when the new option Develop appears in the menu, choose Show Error Console. So now these are the ways to use the debugging tools in major browsers. So now let's go to our second chapter, which is JavaScript performance. Reduce the activity in loops. Loops are often used in programming. Each statement in a loop, including the first statement, is executed for each iteration of the loop. Statements or assignments that can be placed outside the loop will make the loop run faster. So as consider here, here's a for loop with everything in the for loop, and this will be very bad because this will slow the code that's happening in the for loop. And a better way to improve this is writing let L equals array.length, and then over here we can compare I with L. So this will shorten the code to just this instead of writing this, and this will increase the performance greatly. The better code accesses the length of an array each time the loop is iterated. The better code accesses the length property outside the loop and makes the loop run faster. And the second main important thing is to reduce DOM access. Accessing the HTML DOM is very slow. Compared to other JavaScript statements, if you expect to access a DOM element several times, access it once and use a local variable. And you may wonder, what is DOM? DOM is a short form for Document Object Model and is basically what we do for websites. I'm not going to go into depth of Document Object Model because this chapter is not meant for that. So now as you can see over here, here's an example of us using DOM and giving it the value of a variable. So as you can see over here, we have declared a variable called object using the const keyword, and we have given it the value of document.getElementID and demo. So as you can see over here, the HTML element which has the ID of demo will represent this variable over here. And then we can easily change this variable such as obj.innerHTML equals hello. Then the HTML tag which has this update and replace the thing it was holding before. So now let's look at this example using Visual Studio Code. So now as considered here we have the example from the PPT. So if we run these using Chrome, as you can see here we have our expected result. And we can shorten this too by writing this over here. And if we run this using Chrome, as you can see, it is the same result. But if we are accessing it multiple times, then we can use this and write obj.inner.html equals by. And if we run this using Chrome now, as you can see, we'll see by, because this replaced this over here, and then now we are again replacing the value again. So now let's go back to the PPT to learn more. Reduce DOM size. Keep the number of elements in HTML DOM small. This will always improve the page loadings and speed up rendering, especially on small devices. Every attempt to search the DOM like get element by tag name will benefit a smaller DOM. Avoid unnecessary variables. Do not create new variables if you don't plan to save values. Often, you can replace code like this. So as you can see over here, here's a code where we're using unnecessary variables. And over here, we are declaring a variable called full name and giving it the value of first name plus a space plus last name. And over here using document.getElementById method, we're getting the ID of demo and updating the HTML content inside to full name. But we can also do the same thing with this line of code. So as you can see over here, instead of writing with 2 lines of code, we can just return it with a single line of code. So as you can see, this code will be slower and this code will be faster. Delay JavaScript loading. Put your scripts at the bottom of the page body. Putting your script at the bottom of the page body lets the browser load the page first. While a script is downloading, the browser will not start any other downloads. In addition to all parsing and rendering activity may be blocked. The HTTP specification defines that browser should not download more than 2 components in parallel. An alternative use is defer equals true in the script tag. The defer attribute specifies that the script should only be executed after the page has finished parsing. But it only works for external scripts. If possible, you can add your script to the page by code after the page has loaded. So as you can see over here, here is the example. So as you can see, here is our script tag, and over here we have written window onload equals a function equals a self-calling function, and over here we have written our JavaScript code to be executed. Avoid using width. Avoid using the width keyword. It has a negative effect on speed. It clutters up JavaScript scopes. The width keyword is not allowed in strict mode. So folks, that's it for today. This is the end of a JavaScript course. Thank you for watching all of our JavaScript e-courses that we have published. Thanks for everything, and I hope you like this JavaScript e-course. So folks, that's it for today. We're gonna end this JavaScript course. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to support us, please like, share, subscribe to our channel, kaviwebdesigns. Keep on watching our videos and show some love. Have a nice day. Bye.